So I guess to me, I'm like, I understand that people said they had your back and they didn't. As I've stated before, Jesus had the disciples with him. So
Well,
again, you just have to take people for what you see, their actions, basically.
Hi, this is Dr. Taz, and welcome to this edition of Real Talk with Taz and OnJerya. I am Taz, and OnJerya is my beautiful sister, and we so do look forward to our time with you. Hi, Miss OnJerya.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. I guess Mercury retrograde is going to be good to us tonight.
So does that mean that you see me?
Yeah, I see you, and obviously I didn't have no problem joining either.
That's true. That is true. That is true because sometimes, guys, for those who don't know it, sometimes we don't even see each other, but we just go on just like we on telephone talking, which is so good anyway, because that's how we usually be communicating. That's how I get all the tea. So, Anjay, what's
Oh, God.
the
Yeah.
tea? Because you told me you sent it to me, but I was scurrying around doing a bunch of stuff. What is the tea, girl?
Girl, I don't even know where to start. I mean, this is what happened when you go on hiatus. It's like the world just falls apart, okay? Um, as you know, we have lost a lot of legends these last few weeks. And one of them was Angie Stone.
Yeah.
And this past weekend, they had two services. I believe one was in Atlanta, and I think the other one was in Columbia, if no mistake. And so, as I was going down my rabbit hole, like I always do, yeah, I had to stumble upon good old Tyler Perry, and his lovely words that he spoke at one of the services. Hey, Jesus Blackman. And while I was listening to the little snippet, the little clip, I happened to see the story of good old Monique.
Oh, no.
Good old Monique. And for those of you that don't know who Monique is a comedian. She's an actress. Um, she played Nikki Parker
Mhm.
on The Parkers. She's also been in a lot of other different movies. As we also know, she kind of got blackballed, as they would say. Um,
Let me just interrupt Anjay. We can't forget that she's an Academy Award winner. Because did she not win for
I believe she.
best supporting actress for Hi God is thank you for joining us for best supporting actress for Precious, is it Precious?
Precious.
Because you said a lot, but let's make sure we say that because there are not many people that win Academy Awards. So that's
No, no. I mean, so she definitely, deserve her flowers. Okay, like I'm never gonna take that away from her or anyone else who has, put in the hard work.
Mhm.
But the thing that caught my eye is not the fact that Tyler was speaking words of wisdom.
Mhm.
It was the fact that good old Momo wrote this beautiful letter and posted on her social media to Tyler Perry. And so when I read it, I was like, girl, this is not your time to shine.
Mm. So you're pulling a page from my from Mama Said, guys, and I don't have it in here with me, but what is it? Sugar, this ain't something. I think the title is Sugar, This Ain't Your Time or something like
This
that.
is not
So is that what
your
you were
time.
saying? Okay.
This is not your time. Again, this is Angie Stone's time. Okay. There's a time and place for everything to be addressed. And I feel like a lot of things shouldn't always be addressed publicly.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is one of those situations where, again, I understand, freedom of speech. people are entitled to say and do as they please. But again, there's also a time and place for everything. And the bottom line is, of course, she brought up, because, um, during the speech with Tyler Perry, he talked about, the empowerment. You kind of see where I'm going with this.
Because I did see Tyler, and I didn't realize, because I know I'd seen some guys, I got a lot going on. There's a friend of mine said, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a
And
lot.
I do recall sometime in the last 7 days seeing where Tyler Perry, because we haven't talked about this. She sent it to me, but I was doing a bunch of stuff. I didn't have time to look. He talked about, I saw it on IG, he was saying something, if I'm not mistaken, that the record company, the label, that Angie is due the money that she earned, that
Right.
she made. And I don't know if he said maybe her children should get it, but I just realized where you going with that. Because I did say precious, didn't
You
I?
did.
And then you said Monique wrote a letter and
Mm-hmm.
posted it on her social media, and you said, "This ain't your time," which is a title from Mama Said book. And I know what Tyler was saying because I did see that. So now I have an idea of what you're saying that she did. Because again, I'm gonna let you get back to it, because it's almost like, let me choose my words delicately. From her perspective,
Right.
it's a double standard, and you're criticizing and saying what they should do, but you didn't understand that I should have been paid when you wanted me to go abroad and promote Precious. Is that the gist of what she was talking about? Because I don't know.
I mean, that's basically in a nutshell. She basically feels like, her and her husband, where's your apology? Because there's like a little recording. So I guess like they record a conversation. And again, I don't know if this is new or if this
No,
is
it's
like
not.
old when I was, old conversations. But the bottom line is I understand the importance of capitalizing on the moment. Because that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what we do. We capitalize on the moment. And again, no hard feelings towards Momo, because I love Momo. I love her. But this was not your time to shine. We were talking about Angie Stone. There has been other people prior to you and people after you that will continue to be picked over. I gotta choose my word carefully. Picked over, looked over, treated bad. I mean, we see it, we hear about it, but what are we doing about it? Besides getting on social media and throwing a temper tantrum about why is nobody empowering and fighting and advocating for me? Why is that you have all these kind words to say about this person and that person, but why is it that you didn't have my back? My question is, why were you putting faith in man?
Well, my thing just ran through my mind because I had said, "What is this over here?" Then I said, "Oh, that's my stuff." What ran through my mind was Joseph. They did his brothers didn't have his back, but in the end, he had their back. And so,
Right.
what do you mean, Todd? Because this is not preaching Todd tonight, but it might be. What it meant for me is listen, because I had never thought about it from that perspective. Because I've seen, the things with Monique, and and I like Monique a lot, guys. But I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't thought about it from this perspective. Like I said, the brothers didn't have Joseph's back because they sold him into slavery. But oh Lord, you just so that Lord is funny. Because when the famine came, let me say that one more time for the people in the back, as Bill Murray said in Scrooge, when the famine, let me say it one more time. Let me say it one more time. When the famine came, read what I'm saying with that. But when they didn't have food, his brothers came to Egypt they didn't recognize Joseph, but he
Right.
knew his brothers. He didn't have any hostility or anger towards them because he loved his family. And he was then able to help move them forward in
Right.
their time of need. And so, what are you saying here, TAS? I don't know what happened because all we know is what's shared on social media. I was not in the boardroom, I've read no contract, and I don't have to. But, I guess my thought about that, since Joseph was put in my spirit just a moment ago, is sometimes, which I know this, and she knows this, sometimes things happen so that we are positioned to
Right.
be able to open the door for someone else at another time. When that time comes, it will just automatically happen. I don't know if that time has come. And I don't know if that's the reason why any of this happened either.
Right.
But, sometimes that's the way God orchestrates things. And, I just put that out there to the universe that, sometimes things happen in the oddest ways to position you to be able to open a door when somebody else needs it. So I hear what you're saying. To go back to Mama said that chapter that says, this ain't your time.
Right.
I see what you're saying because this is Angie's time. But let me ask this, OnJerya, is this not the world that we live in? You sort of said that, where, I have to choose my words delicately, where anytime I can take the mic, I'm gonna show out.
Yes.
And I mean that for the world. I'm not talking about any particular person. I'm not even talking about Monique, because I'm just talking about in general now. That's the way it is in our society. If I get the mic, oh, I'm gonna show out. And it's okay to show out. Dennis wrote, you always have interesting, so thank you, Dennis. You always have interesting, thought-provoking conversations. You help us to think more critically. Thank you, ladies. But yeah, and so, so thank you, Dennis. That's a good segue for what I'm trying to say here. So if that's the way our society is, what Monique is doing or anyone else
Right.
really is just normal now. It's just normal. And think about it now, we on social media, so we see everything, but let's go back in time. You know how it is when somebody dies.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, you did that
we
I word.
just
You
went through
know,
that.
I know. People get showing out. Think about
Don't they?
it. They get showing out, and you be
Still
thinking that
showing out.
they still be showing out. They get showing out, and you be thinking that this could be your family, it could be somebody else's family, somebody in the community, whatever. People, not everybody, but lots of people get showing out, and you be looking, thinking, them people going through all of that. Now, why did she do that? And you could say, this won't her time. Because somebody can say, well, she's been hurt. They never addressed it. But this wasn't her
Right.
time. This wasn't his time to bring up this history that the family don't want to deal with. But, it be contained. It may be contained in the house where the family's having to wait. It may be contained where the services are going on. So if you won't there, you're only going to get it secondhand. It may happen at the cemetery. It may happen when they have a repast, because, people get to feeling good. Sometimes it happened back in the olden days when they used to
Right.
have wakes back in the olden days, and people would come together that night before, people eating, and they might be nibbling, they might be sipping on something, sometimes go to the left. Well, my point with even talking about that is this is not new. We've always had people, start talking about different things when someone has passed. The difference is we now have social media. So that means you're broadcasting it to the masses, whereas before it just might be the people at the house, the people at the funeral home when y'all trying to pick out stuff. You know how it go to the left, or it might be the cemetery, et cetera, like I said. So again, it's not anything new, but again, our consciousness has been raised, and we have to decide, how we want to digest it, I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, I understand all that, but again, it's not your time. It's not your time. And sometimes you have to do a check in with yourself to be like, why does this keep happening? Because again, you're on this hamster wheel. Baby, you just went through this, I don't know how many years ago. You got blackballed. Nobody wouldn't even work with you. They wouldn't even give you an opportunity. And now you've had opportunities and you've kind of been blowing them up. That's going to the left. And again, I'm not saying it's right because, we're not in the room. We don't make those decisions. We're not a part of the conversation, right? As to who, what, when, where, why, what's being discussed in the contract, what's negotiated, what's not negotiated. All we can say is this: it's becoming a pattern. And when you want people to believe your story, you have to stop crying wolf, because that's what it now seems like, because people are like, so you were the problem, like you over here pointing the finger that everybody else was the problem, but maybe really you were the problem. And whether she's the problem or not, that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, there's a time and place for everything. This was not the time for you to address Tyler Perry. I'm sure that you could have addressed him, pulled him to the side, scheduled a meeting. Let's be professional. Let's be professional. I understand that you have a platform and you are free to use it however you choose. But it's business. It's not personal. So let's conduct it as a business relationship and not a personal relationship where you hurt me. You hurt me. So now you become the victim. No, let's handle it the right way. I'm pretty certain if your people reach out to his people or whoever it is that you still have, these broken relationships with, have your people contact their people, have that sidebar conversation, keep it behind closed doors. Because again, we don't need to know everything that goes on with you. And I think that that's another issue too with social media, is that we want to share everything. Like our life is an open book. Sometimes everything is not for the world to know.
Mhm, mhm.
Because when you open that door to share any and everything, then it gets scrutinized. And then you get in your feelings when people start attacking you, but you open the door. So what did you expect was going to happen? You thought people was going to rally the troops and cheer you on and be supportive? No, people are entitled to their opinion. And based off of the situation, their opinion is you are the problem.
Wait a minute now.
Because
Let me. Is that what the comments are saying? Because you've said that several times.
yes, that is what the comments are saying. The comments are like, we see why you got blackballed. It's not the time. Why are you still going on about this? You could have handled this a different way, like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, we see that you're the problem. Because again, remember, she was just on tour. Was that last year, 2 years
with
ago,
with Cat
with with
Cat
Kat
Williams.
and with DL Hughley.
Okay, she was with DL. I
And
may have missed that.
remember her and DL had got into it,
Oh,
you know.
I sort of remember something.
Yeah, they had got into it, about
Mhm.
who was headlining and all of that, and
Something like that.
yeah, you know.
But she's done well with the acting gigs, because you alluded to that something had gone to the left, but she's done well with the acting gigs. So people are only talking about when she was on tour with the two people.
I mean, when she came out in the movie, I think it's called The Reading, and I want to think that's Lee Daniels. I think that was Lee
Okay.
Daniels. I don't think that was Tyler Perry. I think that was Lee Daniels. I mean, again, that relationship was a little strained too. So that's why I'm saying, like, you know, you were in a situation where people didn't want to work with you. And you've now mended some of those relationships to get those opportunities again. And here it is in this moment where people are grieving. They're grieving. You are want to take this opportunity and steal the spotlight, which is exactly what he was saying. She opened the door because I did not realize that Angie Stone had been around for as long as Angie Stone had been around. She has been around since the 80s. I didn't know that. Like, I probably got introduced to Angie Stone during like the neo soul era, and that was like the late 90s, early 2000s, with D'Angelo, Erykah Badu. So to know that she is someone who's been around for decades, again, she wasn't able to receive her flowers while she was still here. Mm. Let's try to give her her flowers as she has transitioned on. So for 2 seconds, I'm not saying that she couldn't have her little da-da-da-da. She can have that. But just for 2 seconds, can we just focus on the loss? The loss of a legend for some days. And then you can go back to your crazy antics.
Let's don't call them crazy antics. But what I understand what you're saying, and I interpret what you're saying this way. Internally, meaning inside her house.
Right.
Internally, she can express the contradiction that she may see there. But T.D. Jakes preached a sermon years ago about contradictions. I just can't quote it right now because we're all full of contradictions. She can express the contradiction. But what you're saying is be mindful of what the external community is enduring right now,
right,
on so many different levels. And you don't want anybody, well, you I shouldn't say that. It's up to you what you want or don't want. But there are not many of us at the different levels and in the different industries. So when there's a loss in the community, and it's really just like our real communities, because I'm looking at that community now. It impacts the world because it's not that many. So when we lose someone, it's like when we lost Aretha. And you know how I feel about Aretha Franklin. Because OnJerya would be in the car. Remember, she was a little girl when she was a little girl. And this is back when, I guess CD, it may have been either when I had a 8-track, not 8-track, Lord Jesus, I'm really aging myself, cassette player in my car. Well, my car did have a cassette and CD player. I don't mean no 8-track. My parents did have an 8-track player in the house, though, when I was growing up. But, you grew up hearing me play Aretha Franklin all the time. So, I love Aretha Franklin. I went to see her in concert by myself. Well, I did go with somebody else, but they were sitting in the back. I was sitting like row 3. I wanted to see Aretha Franklin. We are mourning that loss.
Right.
Because there's only one Queen of Soul. And just like Angie, and I'm not comparing the two as in what their accomplishments were, but Angie had put a mark on the record industry. She influenced so many individuals. She worked with so many different people. Right. And so the loss in the community, their inner community, that's a huge loss. And then when you layer us on top of that, because it's just a few of us, and then you put the other people who like the music, who like her, that's double whammies, because we're losing our legends, and it hurts. So, when you look external, you have to think about sometimes how things are going to be viewed. As I try to channel my mentor, and when my mentor sees it, they're going to say, you'll try to channel it, won't you? I'll be taking notes. We have to be very mindful of how we show up. Right. And it's not always dazzle down and makeup and all that good stuff, but how the people that we provide a service for, how they will view what we do. And that's really what you're saying, perhaps got overlooked here just a little bit. How the people that I provide a service for, how they will look at my making these statements at this particular time.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with you being vocal. Like, again, freedom of speech. Like, you have the right to express yourself. But again, it's a time and place for everything. And just pay your respects. You know, just be respectful. Be mindful. Like, again, you've you've been through this before. So why are you still crying the same story that nobody stood up for me? My question is, or my statement, I guess I would make is, I don't remember if it was Tyler Perry or who the individual was, but basically it's like, it seems that the opportunities that you're wanting are not available. So why don't you create your own opportunities instead of looking for a handout?
Now wait a minute now, OnJerya. Let's choose our words carefully.
Okay, I guess I shouldn't say a handout.
No, because she's not looking for a handout. If we're talking Monique now, and then we can talk broader. But she's not looking for a handout. You know, when you talk about Monique, because we're discussing, but I look at it broader. And when you were speaking, and thank you for joining us, Women in Touch. When you was talking about that, I thought about people who've experienced trauma, because that is trauma.
It is.
And I don't know what really went down, because we never gonna know. But when I just talked about, there's only a few of us. For me, and I don't know what she thinks and how she feels. I perhaps, if it was me, I would be dealing with the pain, because for me as an incest survivor, it would be like I've been traumatized again.
Right.
Because I did what I was supposed to do, but you're saying I didn't, from the perspective you wanted me to do more, which is what she says. You wanted me to do more, you wanted me to do this, but you weren't paying me for this. So you've made me, because it's occurred, it's like I've become the bad person, but I fulfilled my obligation. So how do I now become the bad person, and all the fallout comes on me? The volcano erupts, and all of the ashes and lava, it all settles on me. I don't understand that, because I met my obligation. I don't understand that. So if this was me, now I would be in pain. And as a person who was sexually abused, who talked about it, but I didn't get a response. It was very painful for me, and I could not understand that, because I couldn't get a response. I never got a response. So, but I got to a place that I understood I was never going to get what I wanted. And it was up to me to determine how I was going to live my life.
Right.
But that took years. And somebody may say, Dr. Smith or TAS, this has been you. But I'm telling you, it took decades. It took me decades to get to that point. And also where I'm okay with these people's existence now. What do you mean by that? I'm okay that they still inhabit the earth. I have no ill will towards them. That took decades. And I'm not talking one. I'm not talking two. I'm talking decades. It took me decades to get to that point. So when you were talking about that, that's what ran through my mind, because it's a trauma. And when you're trying to make sense out of something that you cannot control because we don't
Right.
control other people. That's a
No.
hard thing to be able to wrap your mind around because the incest happened. I don't care how you want to slice it up, dice it up. It happened, but the response did not.
Right.
So she felt she did what she was supposed to do, but then the fallout, everything fell on her as if she didn't. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So it's about trying to make sense out of a situation that you can never make sense out of. And I can tell you, talk about them family events. I'm sure that there were probably deaths that I threw a temper tantrum about the incest because anytime you get a captive audience, people. You see what I'm saying? So I think that I understand it. I understand it both ways, but it's deeper than that. Because I was actually walking around today thinking, so it's interesting that you said this. You hurt me. I was actually walking around today and I said that. You hurt me. And there's a difference between, because I was like trying to figure this out. And then I'm like, okay, not that I hadn't been hurt before.
Right.
I had, but there was one thing that made this different. And because that one thing made it different, my movements have been different. They're different. She's hurt.
Right.
I know people say, Dr. Smith, Dr. Todd, that's no he hurt. And when you are hurting,
Right.
she's hurting. She's hurting. And I talk about being compromised. I'm not saying she compromised, but when I'm compromised, I don't think the same. I don't consider all the different dynamics
Right.
because I'm compromised. She's hurting, and I know that's no excuse, but she's hurting. And I know from past experience, it took me decades to get to a place where I was okay that I did not get the response that I needed as it related to the incest. And we talking probably, we might be talking 4 decades. It took a long time, a long time. So again, I just put that out there because again, is this something a critical thing? We have to view things from so many different perspectives, and it's just what she's dealing with is sad. What's going on with Angie is sad because that's a shock, and then bringing them together, that's sad too. So, what are you saying, Todd? There are no winners here.
No.
There are no winners here. There are no winners.
And it's like, I understand what you're saying. I understand that, yes, she's possibly triggered. Yes, it's a trauma response. But I don't know. I guess, I was raised, and you were too, by Joe
Joe Jackson.
Jackson's
Yes,
sister.
sir. Joe Jackson, Sister
So
raised us.
I had, we got very thick skin,
Yeah.
like really thick skin. So yes, we have experienced things. Yes. I mean, not bad things. I want anybody being like, oh Lord, they had, no, baby, we had a beautiful childhood. Okay. Compared to most, it was amazing. Even now as adults, it's still amazing. Okay. But I don't know. I guess we were raised to not really believe everything that you hear and what you what you see. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't really fall for it. People just tell you anything just to tell you anything. So I guess, again, everybody won't raise that way. I understand. There's nothing wrong with it. But that's how we were raised. So I guess to me, I'm like, I understand that people said they had your back and they didn't. As I've stated before, Jesus had the disciples with him, walked with him all day, all night,
Yes.
and still betrayed him. So
Well,
again, you just have to take people for what you see, their actions, basically. Like, I understand that, some people may have stated, and this is not just Monique, this is the real world now. I understand that some people told you, oh, you gonna get that job. Just wait. It's gonna be your turn. Such and such is they getting ready to retire or they getting ready to move into a different position. And as soon as they move and that position's open, the job is yours. And then guess what happened?
you didn't
That
get it.
person retires, that person moves into a different position, the job opens, but guess what? The job is not yours. Somebody else gets put in that position.
Well,
Oh, well, we thought that they were a better fit, but you said it was mine. I know, but we thought about it and we found out, we have something better for you. Again, people will sell you anything.
well,
They will sell you
they
anything.
will.
They will they will tell you anything. Not, I don't feel to like be malicious or to purposely hurt you, to see you cry or anything like that. It's just that people are people. We're human. And again, you just really can't believe what people say. You have to look at their action. Because to me, I don't care what comes out of your mouth. Your actions definitely going to speak louder than the words. Because you can tell me that you love me all day long. But if you're not showing me in a manner that is receiving for me to understand that you love me, then you're just doing a whole bunch of talking. And again, the action that you could be showing is your way of showing me that you love me. But if that is not the way that I desire to be loved, then again, I'm still not on that receiving end. So I understand it, a good possibility that this is a reaction to, what has happened to her growing up, what has happened to her in the industry. I don't know. Never worked in the industry, but we hear those stories. We understand that, of course, women get paid considerably less. It's not just the industry. That's what it is. Like, that's just what it is. That's how it's always been. Preferably, that's not how it will always be, but at least in this particular lifetime of moment, that's just what it is. We understand. Um, we know what it's like to work and bring 1,000% of yourself and still get overlooked and looked over. We know what it's like to be the top of the class and still don't receive the acknowledgement as someone who did nothing at all. We understand that. But the thing is, getting to a place of understanding that this is what it is. I'm not going to always get that apology. I'm not even going to even get that acknowledgement. And I'm okay. Yes, it may hurt sometimes that they didn't tell me good job. Yes, it may hurt my feelings because no one didn't say a kind word to me. But it goes back to what we've said before. Before you take care of somebody else, you gotta take care of you. Because when you take care of you, it doesn't matter if nobody does any of those things that you desire. As long as you know that you did a good job, as long as you know self showed up for self, and I delivered 1,000 times over what I said I was going to do, that's all that matters. If nobody stands up and say, oh, she deserves this, or oh, you should, it is okay. Because as long as I know that I did my best and that I'm happy with the results, that's it. because people are not going to give you what you feel you desire. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear that because that's not what they say. They want you to make, we're here to make you feel good. We're here to tell you that, yes, girl, people love you. They do love you. But there's also people that enjoy taking advantage of your kindness too. And sometimes you have to let them know that I see it. Just because I don't speak on it don't mean that I don't see it, because I see everything. And just as I see everything, he see everything as well. And that's why, as long as you continue to do what you're supposed to be doing, you pulling your red wagon, don't worry about who pushing theirs. As long as you pulling yours, the opportunities will open up for you, and you'll reflect back and be like, yep, they still on that hamster wheel trying to figure out, why does this keep happening? Why am I not progressing? And then you will see yourself off that hamster wheel, moving on to bigger and better things. And yeah, it's still going to hurt because, again, the pain is there. Trauma is trauma. You're going to feel triggered, but hopefully it won't be as much as it's like getting a womb, right? Like over time, it heals. It gets better and better and better. Okay, today I need to bandage it up. Okay, well, next week I don't need, to bandage it as much. Now it needs some air so that it can heal. Okay, now a month from now, it doesn't even look like anything was there. It takes time, but it also goes back to, you have to be willing to put in the work. And I know that that's what we don't want to do because that's hard. But when you put in the work, I promise you, it's so rewarding, And I know that we had this we had this conversation about, well, if you're doing this and you're doing that, then why is it that XYZ isn't happening? Again, what success means to me and what it means to you is two totally different things. Because you can't measure my success against your success
or anyone else's.
or anyone else's. And just because it may not look like what you think that it should look like, it doesn't mean that there's not growth. It doesn't mean that there's not opportunities. Again, raised by Joe Jackson's sister, you never let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. I'm never going to tell you everything that I'm doing. I'm only going to give you some breadcrumbs because, see, what did you say Jack Nicholson said? You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the
You can't
truth. You good
handle
me.
the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
No. So let me just give you these little breadcrumbs and let you nibble along the way. Because if you could ever conceptualize what the end goal was, I'll just fall to your knees because you just wouldn't even be able to believe it. But also to understand that with anything, it takes time. It takes time. I understand that in this world of social media, we see that things, quote unquote, as we think, happen overnight. Yeah, not really. Not all the time. There are some instances where, yes, things do happen overnight. But the majority of the time, no. Those people, they've been working. We may not have seen their work, right? But they've been working, and now it's their time to shine. And if you have the right people in your corner who's acting in your best interest and not looking out for themselves, they will put you in those rooms. It's just like Tabitha was talking about. Is it her friend?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Her friend that said that she was going to do 15 something something. Was that last year?
Can't remember what
But yeah, that she had made that statement that her friend said that you're going to do XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. And Tabitha just was like, whew, okay, this is a lot. But then when she started hitting those milestones, it was like, yes, you're right. I can do this. And that's all you need is just that one person. Just takes one person to believe in you and have your best interest at heart. Be your cheerleader. You cheering yourself on too. And I promise you, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. And that's why I'm like, sometimes you have to create them avenues that exist or don't exist. And it's okay because it's enough to go around. I promise you. Like, they're always inventing new and exciting things. I saw that they're inventing these little robotic people. I'm not going to call them people, but yeah, these little robots that are, here to replace the people. Whew, imagine that.
Okay. Okay, Miss OnJerya.
I'm just saying, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, have your moment to get it off your chest, but just don't stay there. Don't stay there.
Well, thank you, I'm probably mispronounced it, Politikel. Thank you for joining us. And Anjay, as we bring this session to a close, I think that you've given some excellent advice to the audience. We've gone from talking about Monique to talking about Joseph to talking about the society that we lived in and the struggle that not we all, that most people
No.
go through on a day-to-day basis. So I don't want to be too generalized, too specific rather, that we go through, having the right people in your ear, having the right people that are cheering you. And then as lots of people have said it, but Tina Simmons, you met her in December when we were at the Chosen Pen Award. And Tina talked about the fact that her publicist has said to her, if they won't give you a seat at the table, set your own table, basically build your own table. And Tina is a historian, guys. And so because she wanted to collaborate with a museum, but where she lives in Texas, they're landlocked. And so they could not collaborate the way she wanted to collaborate with them. So you know what she did? Let me tell you what Tina Siemens did. Tina built her own museum. She built her own museum. And the rest is history. She'd never done anything like that before, but she built her own museum. So I guess the thing that I want to leave people with is life is always happening, but it is really how we respond to it and how we plan for it, because it's going to always happen. And the more we plan for it, the more we can take care of ourselves. Because taking care of you is more than just the physical and emotional and psychological. It's every aspect of who you are as a person. And you have to plan for that, you know. And if you're needing some help, I'm always providing services for folks, whether it's content creation, which I do that, whether it's papers, whether it's editing things. Also through my books, Mama Said and Stronger and Transformation to Bounce Back, because those books have questions that help you to think and help you to focus on who it is you want to be and then how you can get there, because that's so important. Whether it's, a part of your plan is you want to share your message, your services with a broader audience, then that's my Talk with TAS show. Again, it's about figuring out how you need to take care of you so that you get to your end goal. And, we all have someone, and maybe not like Tabitha's friend, and maybe you may have had someone and that person is no longer available to you for whatever reason. Well, then you have to become your own cheerleader.
Right.
As my other sister would say, you have to speak life into your life. You have to do it yourself, but only you can do that. So when I say take care of you guys, I'm talking about the gamut. I'm talking about the gamut, because only you can do that. But it starts with you. Whether it's a trauma response, because I get triggered, whether it's a trauma response, whether it's lifing and all that means, it starts with you. So before I sign off, because I done broke down taking care of you. So if I can help you take care of you, then you reach out to me. You can always find me on Instagram, Dr. Teresa Smith. My LinkedIn bio is there. It gets you in contact with me if you got questions. You know someone that maybe has a question or needs somebody to say a word or two, then reach out to me. You know, my spiritual side does activate. It does activate too. And I use that, I'm going to say it this way, thus saith the Lord.
Yes.
Thus saith the Lord is how I'll say that. But again, remember, before you go try and take care of somebody else, please take care of yourself first and figure out exactly where you need to start, because only you can start that process. Nobody else can do it. So until next time, take care of you. OnJerya, thank you for a very interesting conversation about how we respond to life. And it's up to us to make the choice of how we're going to do that. So thank you again. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.